Can I be honest with you? I don't think fear is the reason most people never start a business. I think they're believing the lies that fear tells them. What if I fail? What if nobody buys? What if I've heard the wrong thing from God? What if I'm not good enough? Those thoughts keep people stuck for many months, sometimes even years. But here is what I've learned. Fear is a terrible advisor, and if God has placed a business in your heart, you cannot allow fear to make decisions that only faith must make. So today, I want to show you the 4 biggest lies that fear tells Christian entrepreneurs and how to overcome each of them God's way. And if you're looking for practical wisdom to build the business that God placed within your heart without compromising your faith and values, make sure you subscribe. Let's dive in. Lie number 1, what if I fail? What if I fail? Let's start with probably the biggest one. What if I fail? What if I'm miserable doing this? Quite frankly, every entrepreneur has asked the same question. I know I have. Many you're thinking, what if I lose money? What if I lose my time? What if I waste my efforts? What if my family thinks I'm crazy? What if I launch and nobody buys, nobody cares about what I'm doing? Can I offer you another perspective? What if failure is not the enemy? What if failure is actually part of how God is preparing you? Think about David, for instance. Before he became a king, he was a shepherd. Joseph, before he became the governor of Egypt, he was betrayed, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison. Can you imagine that? He was betrayed by his own brothers. God often develops people before he promotes them. I'd rather spend my life knowing that I tried than spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I trusted God. Jesus tells us in one of the parables, I think this is on Matthew 25, the servant who buried his talent wasn't praised because he played it safe. He was rebuked because fear kept him from acting. So here's my encouragement to anybody that's watching this video, including myself. Don't risk everything. Start small, test your idea, take one faithful step, because failure doesn't define you. Faithfulness does. Lie number 2, I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified. This one is so subtle because maybe you're thinking, I don't have enough experience. I didn't go to business school. I don't have my MBA. I don't have an undergrad in business. There are people who are doing this better than I am. Can I remind you of something really quick? God has never been limited by someone else's resume. God has never been limited by somebody's resume. Let me tell you this. Years ago, I was looking for pastoral positions at churches and ministry positions. This was years ago. And I've noticed that a lot of the big churches require that you have a master's of divinity, at least to be able to serve in a leadership capacity. You have to be married. You have to have all of these merits to be able to preach, let alone the experience of leading a congregation. And by those standards, Jesus would not have qualified because Jesus was wise. Jesus didn't have an MBA. Jesus didn't have a master's of divinity. Jesus was who he says he was. He was God's son. He was God himself. God has never been limited by somebody's resume. Moses didn't think he could lead. Gideon didn't think he was strong enough. Jeremiah thought that he was too young. He wasn't sufficient. He always questioned, am I enough? And how many of us ask that question often? Yet God used every of them. Why? Because God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. I'm pretty sure you heard that phrase before. God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. Your responsibility isn't to know everything. Your responsibility is to stay teachable, continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to trust God, and remember this, you don't have to know everything. You only need to know enough to help the person who is one step behind you. That's who you're called to help. Lie number 3, I need the whole plan. I need to see everything. How many of us have been there before? How many of us continue to be there? How many of us need to be there? This is where I see so many aspiring entrepreneurs get stuck because they're waiting for everything to be so perfect, so beautiful, the perfect logo, the perfect website, the perfect business plan, the perfect timing. But that is not how faith operates. Hebrew tells us that Abraham obeyed God without knowing exactly where he was going. God does not reveal to you all of the steps from the get-go. He reveals one step that you take. So here's what I encourage you to do practically. I know that a lot of my audience have seen Dave Ramsey, and he teaches the 6 baby steps to get out of financial debt. And the same thing that I ask you, what are your 6 next steps that you need to create in order to propel action, in order to propel movement? What is your next step? Is it researching on your next product or services? Is it actually validating that this will have enough demand to generate income? What I will do is I will find 2 to 3 people that might be interested in what you're doing. Is it finding those people, having conversations with them, getting all that data? See, before you write everything into one sheet of paper, begin walking in faith. Take one baby step. Define your 6 baby steps that you're going to take in this season, whether it's a month or 2 weeks, whatever it is for you, but you got to act fast. Lie number 4, nobody will buy. Nobody will buy. I think this is the biggest fear for every entrepreneur. What if I'm putting all of this effort for nobody to care about what I'm building, for nobody to buy my product or service? This might be the biggest lie of them all, because have you ever caught yourself thinking nobody's going to want this? My business isn't good enough. There are too many competitors. Who's going to want me? I don't have the experience. I have to compete with the biggest companies out there, with the monsters who have years of experience. Let me tell you this right now. When those thoughts come, stop, catch them immediately and ask yourself, is this actually true, or is it fear speaking into my life? The Bible tells us that we must take every thought captive and make it obedient to Jesus Christ. That means we don't simply accept every thought that enters in our mind. We examine it. We must examine it because we're not going to stop those thoughts. We replace them with the truth, and instead of saying nobody will buy, ask yourself, what if there's other possibilities? What if the opposite is true? What if there are people paying exactly for what I have to offer? What if there are people that have been praying for that service or product that I have to offer? See, fear always assumes the worst of the worst. Faith chooses to trust God with what you cannot see. So I'm going to leave you with final thoughts here. 6 months from now, you're going to be 6 months older. And the question isn't whether time will pass. The question is, will you still be wondering if you should have started? Or will you look back, grateful that you took the courage to take the next step? And if God has placed this business idea in your heart, don't expect the next 6 months waiting for fear to disappear. Spend the next 6 months preparing faithfully. The Bible says, trust in God with all of your heart, never, ever, ever, ever leaning your own understanding. In all of your way, acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. Trust God with the results. Start small, stay faithful, and let God direct your steps. And if this video encouraged you, let me know in the comments which one of these 4 points have you struggled with the most. I'd love to pray for you and encourage you. And if you're looking for practical and biblical guidance to build the business that God placed within your heart, make sure you subscribe to Faith Meets Business, and I'll see you on the next video.